I spent 2 years being her best friend, until I realized I was just her backup plan, so I walked away. I'm writing this at 2 a.m. because I can't sleep. Her name is Amber. We met at a charity gala my friends Mike and Sadie hosted about 3 years ago. I'm a transportation engineer for the city of Chicago. Basically, I design highway interchanges and overpasses, pretty boring stuff. Amber is a photographer and content creator, shoots events and lifestyle content for brands. She was photographing the gala. I was helping managing parking logistics. We hit it off immediately. Within a few months, we became inseparable. I was her automatic +1 to gallery openings, brand parties, photo shoots. She came to bridge dedication ceremonies with me, had dinner with my parents, even stayed at their house after a weekend road trip. We FaceTimed every night, went on weekend getaways, shared everything about our work and families. Everyone thought we were dating, and we never exactly corrected them. Mike and Sadie introduced us as a couple. My parents asked when I was going to propose. Her Instagram was full of us together. She'd tag me in posts about date nights and adventures. But whenever I tried to have the "what are we" conversation, Amber would laugh it off. We're the upgraded version of best friends. Labels are what dramatic couples use to torture themselves. What we have is already perfect, all the fun and support without the drama. I told myself she just needed time, that actions mattered more than words, that we were basically dating anyway, so why did the label matter? Then came Mike and Sadie's 4th anniversary dinner. 8 people, all couples, at this nice Italian place in River North. One of Sadie's coworkers smiled at us across the table and asked, "You two look like newlyweds. How long have you been together?" Amber laughed loud. "Oh God, no, Ryan and I aren't together. He's just my soul friend, you know. We're way too close to ruin it with dating." The table went quiet. I felt like someone had shoved me off one of the bridges I designed. I smiled and nodded, but inside I was dying. After dinner, I asked Amber to walk around the block with me. I finally said what I'd been thinking for months. I cared about her. I wanted a real relationship with commitment and exclusivity and a future. But I needed to know where she saw this going. She went into this whole philosophical thing about how she'd seen too many friendships ruined by trying to force romance. How what we had was perfect and I was being dramatic about labels. How traditional relationships were outdated and what we had was evolved. That's when it hit me. To Amber, I was the full boyfriend experience, emotional support, companionship, physical intimacy when she wanted it, but without any actual commitment. I was the safe option she kept in her pocket while keeping her options completely open. No responsibility, no accountability, no risk. I've been playing myself. 3 days later, I met her at our usual coffee shop, the one where we'd spent countless Sunday mornings. I told her I couldn't do this anymore. I said I wanted a real relationship with someone who was proud to call me their partner, someone who didn't cringe at the word boyfriend, someone who wanted to build a future, not just enjoy the present with an exit strategy ready. Amber tried everything. Called me dramatic for caring about labels, said friendship was more stable than romance, told me what we had was more evolved than old-school dating. I held firm. What you call evolved is just avoiding responsibility. She looked genuinely confused that I was serious, like she couldn't believe I'd actually walk away from the privilege of being her best friend. I asked for space. Real space. Didn't wait for her response. Just stood up and left. So Reddit, was I wrong to end a perfect friendship just because she wouldn't call it what it was? I don't think so, but somehow Amber's convinced everyone else I overreacted. What do you think? Update 1. Thank you all for the responses on my original post. A lot of you said Amber was keeping me as the boyfriend at home while keeping her options open for something better. You were right. But it was worse than I thought. After our coffee shop conversation, I blocked Amber on everything. I needed clean separation to actually move on. I threw myself into work, landed a lead role on a project I'd wanted for years. I also started volunteering with a nonprofit that builds small bridges and nature trails in underserved parks to give kids access to green spaces. It felt good to focus on building actual bridges instead of trying to convince someone I was worth a relationship. Mike and Sadie were supportive, but worried I was isolating. This went on for about 3 months until they finally convinced me to come to a community health fair the city was co-sponsoring with local clinics. I was setting up a model bridge display for kids to play with, just trying to get out of my head. That's where I met Grace. She manages health education programs at a community medical center, runs workshops for students and families. She came over to my booth asking about load distribution and bridge engineering because she wanted to incorporate STEM concepts into her after-school program. We talked for an hour past when the fair ended. 3 days later, we got dinner. She told me she'd looked up my projects on the city website and was impressed by how I designed for pedestrian and wheelchair accessibility. We talked about our families, our work, what we wanted from life. It felt easy. We started seeing each other regularly. Coffee dates turned into dinners. Dinners turned into weekend hikes. Within a few weeks, we were texting every day, not the anxious, did I say something wrong? Texts I used to send Harper, but genuine, how was your day? Conversations. After our third date, Grace said something that caught me off guard. I really like you, Ryan, and I want to be clear about what I'm looking for. I'm not interested in anything casual or ambiguous. I want to see where this goes, but I want us both to be on the same page about moving towards something serious and exclusive. Does that align with what you want? Just like that, clear about her intentions, direct about her direction. No games. I told her yes, absolutely yes. A week later, she asked if I wanted to meet her coworkers at a happy hour. She introduced me as Ryan, the guy I'm dating. Not my friend Ryan or this is Ryan with no context. Just simple, clear, proud. 2 months in, she FaceTimed her parents in Denver and had me say hi. Started making plans for me to visit Colorado with her over a long weekend. The contrast was insane. With Grace, everything was transparent. We talked about values, goals, fears. She made plans for us to go hiking and visit famous bridges together, combining both our interests. For the first time, I wasn't guessing where I stood. I was someone's choice, not someone's option. We'd made it officially for about 6 months when Amber started reappearing at group events, or more specifically, any group events that I attended. At first, it was just showing up to Mike and Sadie's game nights. Then a 4th of July barbecue. I brought Grace to meet everyone, and Amber was polite, but pointed. Remember when we drove overnight to Nashville and watched the sunrise? Ryan makes the best pancakes. We used to have this Sunday brunch tradition. She was planting flags, marking territory she'd refused to claim when it mattered. Grace noticed but didn't seem threatened. Later, she told me, she seems like she's having trouble accepting that she let you go and you're happy now. A few weeks later, at Sadie's birthday dinner at a tapas place, Amber showed up alone. She deliberately sat next to me, pushing Grace to the other side of the table. I didn't say anything. I just quietly stood up, grabbed my drink, and moved to the seat next to Grace. Amber's smile froze for a second. Then she laughed it off like it was nothing. But for the rest of the meal, she overcompensated, dominating conversation about my work, conferences we'd attended together, inside jokes, making a show of we have history. The more I focused on Grace, the louder Amber got about our past. Then last week, I got my first text from Amber in almost a year. I miss our friendship. I think we misunderstood each other that day. Coffee to clear the air, I showed Grace. She was direct. I trust you, but I think she's testing your boundaries. I didn't respond to Amber. Instead, I focused on building my future with Grace. For Grace's birthday, I planned a surprise weekend trip to a small town where her medical center was partnering to open an arts and health workshop for teens. I gave a short talk about infrastructure and safe public spaces, connecting my work with her passion. She looked at me like I'd given her the world, because I wasn't just along for the ride. I was actually invested in her dreams. Update 2. You all called it in my last post. Amber escalated, but she miscalculated badly. After I didn't respond to her coffee request, things only got weirder. She started commenting on old photos on my Instagram, stuff from a year ago, our road trips, concerts we went to. Just heart emojis and miss this type comments. Grace and I had a long talk about it. Babe, I'm not worried about you, Grace said. but she's clearly not respecting that you've moved on. You need to set a hard boundary." She was right. I muted Amber's account and made a mental note to address it if things continued. Well, things did continue. Mike called me one night. "Hey man, Amber's been asking me a lot about you and Grace. How serious it is if you're happy when you started dating. I didn't give her much but wanted you to know." Then Sadie texted. "Amber asked if you and Grace would be at Saturday's barbecue." When I said yes, she said she needed to talk to you about something important. Just a heads up. I decided not to go to that barbecue. Grace and I went hiking in Starved Rock instead. Apparently, Amber showed up, asked where I was, got quiet when she learned I'd specifically chosen not to come after I heard that she would be there, and left early. Things got quiet from Amber's side after that, and I thought that was finally it. Another 6 months went by. I was ready to propose to Grace. We talked about marriage, aligned on everything: kids, finances, where we wanted to live, career goals. She was it for me. Grace was organizing the grand opening of a new community garden next to an elementary school. There was a small wooden footbridge I'd designed for kids to cross between the playground and garden beds. It was perfect, combining both our worlds. After Grace gave a speech about community and caring for each other, I asked for the microphone. In front of students, parents, and Grace's coworkers, I talked about how Grace showed me what it really meant to build bridges, not just between riverbanks, but between people. I knelt on that wooden bridge and proposed. Grace said yes before I even finished the sentence. The kids cheered. It was perfect. We posted photos that evening. Didn't think much about it. 2 days later, I woke up to a wall of texts from a number I didn't recognize. It was Amber. She'd gotten a new number or was texting from a different phone. The messages were a lot. "I always thought we'd figure things out eventually. You're moving too fast with her. You barely know her compared to what we had. I need to tell you some things before you make a huge mistake. We had something real and you're throwing it away for someone you just met." The last one got me. Someone you just met. I dated Grace for a year. Amber and I had never even officially dated, despite 2 years of her acting like my girlfriend when it was convenient. I screenshot the messages and showed Grace. She read them calmly, then looked at me. "Do you want to respond?" "Yeah," I said, "but I want to do it right." I sent one message back. "Amber, I'm very happy with my choice and I hope you find what you're looking for, but I need you to respect my relationship and my boundaries. I won't be responding to further messages." Then I blocked the number. I thought that was the end. I was wrong. Last weekend, Mike and Sadie threw us an engagement party at their place. About 40 people, family, friends, coworkers. Grace's parents flew in from Denver. My parents drove up from Springfield. It was beautiful. Amber showed up. Mike looked horrified when he opened the door. "Amber, this is... I didn't think you'd actually come." Turns out the invitation Mike sent to the group chat included Amber since she was still in the friend group. Mike had assumed she wouldn't show up to my engagement party. Bad assumption. Amber walked in with a gift bag and a bright smile. She made a beeline for Grace. "Congratulations, Grace, I had to come celebrate." Her voice was a bit too enthusiastic. "This is so exciting for you guys." Grace smiled politely. "Thanks for coming, Amber." Amber glanced at me, then back to Grace. "You know, Ryan and I go way back. I probably know him better than anyone here." Grace's smile didn't waver. "Well, he did mention that you two had a friendship that ran its course." I almost spit out my drink. Grace's delivery was so calm, so unbothered, but the message was clear. "I know who you are and I'm not threatened." Amber spent the next hour trying to insert herself into conversations, showing people photos on her phone of the old days, telling stories that painted us as more than we were. Then she suddenly stood up, raised her glass and started. "I've known Ryan for 3 years. We shared so many amazing experiences together. Road trips, late-night talks, inside jokes no one else understood. We had something really special." The room got awkward. People were looking at their drinks. "And I think it's important," Amber continued, "that when you've had that kind of connection with someone, you don't just replace it. Real love is built over years, not months. It's okay, that's enough." Grace stood up. My jaw dropped. Grace is usually so diplomatic. "Amber, I appreciate that you and Ryan were friends." Grace's voice was steady but firm. But this is our engagement party. If you have feelings you need to process about Ryan moving on, this isn't the time or place." The room went dead silent. Amber's face went red. "I'm just saying, you're trying to make this moment about you," Grace said. "And I'm not going to let you do that. Ryan chose me. We chose each other. That's what we're celebrating tonight." Amber looked around the room for support. No one met her eyes. Even her own friends looked uncomfortable. She grabbed her purse. "You know what? You deserve each other. Have a nice life." She left. The party was quiet for about 30 seconds, then Sadie started clapping. Soon everyone was clapping and cheering for Grace. My mom hugged her and whispered something that made Grace tear up. My dad shook my hand and said, "You found a good one, don't screw it up." Later, Grace told me what my mom said. "Thank you for loving my son enough to protect him, even from people who don't realize they're hurting him." That night, Grace and I talked about what happened. She wasn't angry at Amber, just tired of the boundary pushing. "She spent 2 years refusing to commit to you," Grace said. "And now she's mad that you found someone who will. That's not love, babe, that's ego." We decided Amber wouldn't be invited to the wedding. Mike told me she'd left the friend group chat and unfollowed everyone who was at the party. I feel bad that it ended this way. Part of me wishes she'd just been happy for me. But another part, the part that spent 2 years feeling like I wasn't worth a commitment, knows that Grace was right. Amber didn't love me. She loved having me available. There's a difference. Final update. It's been 3 months since the engagement party disaster. Grace and I got married last weekend in a small ceremony at the Chicago Botanic Garden. It was perfect, about 60 people, all the ones who actually mattered. A few things have happened since update 2 that I want to share, mostly because this community helped me see what I was blind to for 2 years. First, the wedding. Grace looked incredible. Her parents cried. My parents cried. I cried when she walked down the aisle between the rose gardens. During our vows, I promised to always be clear about where she stands with me, never to make her guess, never to leave her in limbo. She promised the same. The reception was at a small venue overlooking the lake. During our first dance, I looked around the room and realized something. Every single person there was actively happy for us. No one was there out of obligation. No one was there with ulterior motives. Amber wasn't there. And honestly, I didn't think about her once until I sat down to write this. But some things happened after the engagement party that gave me closure I didn't know I needed. About a week after Amber left the party, Sadie called me. "I need to tell you something about Amber. I should have said this a long time ago." Apparently, during our entire platonic soulmate phase, Amber had been actively dating other guys. Not just casual coffee dates, whole relationships. There were at least 2 guys she'd been exclusively seeing while calling me her best friend and taking couple photos with me for Instagram. Sadie said she'd confronted Amber about it once, asking why she was stringing me along. Amber's response: "Ryan is perfect for right now, but I'm not ready to settle. I might never be ready for someone like him. He's safe and stable but not exciting enough long term." I asked Sadie why she never told me. She said she tried dropping hints, tried to warn me, but I seemed so sure Amber would come around that she didn't want to destroy the friendship if she was wrong. Hearing that hurt, but it also crystallized everything. Amber didn't keep things unlabeled because she valued our evolved friendship. She kept things unlabeled because she was actively looking for something better while keeping me as her emotional support backup plan. I was the guy she knew would always be there. The safe harbor she could return to between adventures. The one she could parade around like a boyfriend when it served her image, then downgrade to best friend when someone more exciting came along. Then came the thing that really brought it all full circle. Mike ran into one of Amber's photographer friends at a coffee shop about a month ago. This woman, I'll call her Tyler, pulled Mike aside and said, "Is Ryan okay? Amber's been posting some concerning things in her stories." Apparently, Amber had been posting vague quotes about people who move on too fast and real connections that fake relationships can't replace. Subtle digs that anyone who knew the situation would recognize. But then Taylor showed Mike something that made him immediately text me. Amber had posted a photo from 2 years ago, one of us at a concert, my arm around her with a caption. Some people are worth waiting for, others give up too easily. The audacity. I didn't respond, didn't even look at it. Well, I was about to. But Grace saw my face when Mike told me about it and said, "Let it go, babe, she's trying to bait you into giving her attention. Don't give her the satisfaction." She was right. The best response was no response. Last week, Grace and I celebrated our first month of marriage by going back to the community garden where I proposed. The kids' footbridge I designed has become a favorite spot. There are drawings and chalk messages all over the railings. One kid had written, "This bridge goes somewhere." Grace squeezed my hand and said, "Just like us." And she's right. With Amber, I was on a bridge to nowhere, all the appearance of going somewhere without actually moving forward. With Grace, every step is taking us somewhere real. To everyone who commented on my original post telling me I deserved better than situationship limbo, thank you. You were right. To the guys reading this who are stuck in similar more than friends but less than partners situations, pay attention to actions, not potential. Don't waste years trying to convince someone you're worth committing to. Find someone who already knows. And to Amber, if you somehow see this, I genuinely hope you find what you're looking for. But I also hope you learn that you can't keep people in your orbit without actually choosing them. Eventually, they'll choose themselves instead. Grace and I are heading to Colorado next month for a delayed honeymoon. We're going to hike and visit some famous bridge engineering sites. She's already planned stops at community health centers to see how other cities run their programs. We're building something real, something clear, something that doesn't require translation or interpretation, and it's exactly what I always wanted. Thanks, Reddit. For the wake-up call, the support, and the reminder that I wasn't crazy for wanting my relationship to be an actual relationship. Final edit. Someone asked if I ever got an apology from Amber. No, and honestly, I don't need one anymore. Her refusal to commit was never about my worth, it was about her fear. That's her work to do, not mine. I'm just glad I stopped waiting for someone to see my value and found someone who already did.